All right.
Yeah, yes.
Welcome once again, everyone, to new session.
Moyo, you did
Please,
not answer me.
you know, as I saw you coming, I was going to call you that. Please, I know.
Moyo, you did not answer me. I went astray. I went to the jungle and I couldn't find myself back.
But you're here now, so don't worry.
No, I'm not back. I'm not back yet, too.
Wherever you are, we will all gather and we'll find you.
In short, I never knew I have good fellows among my team, and everyone has jumped on the court for us to find a way out, and no way, no escape routes.
Wonderful.
What is the is it the same thing that we're talking about doing yesterday, or is something else now?
Yes, Henry, same thing we were doing yesterday.
Well, what I would suggest is your VS Code, if you can delete it and reinstall it.
I have done that. I have
okay.
even done that. Like, there's no steps I have done as much as I could to even like.
Wait, what exactly?
The reason
I'm not on your group, so please.
Yeah, the reason I suggested that is because when we were looking at cloud formation, and you were having that error with that that we had to go into your
the
JSON settings, right?
Yeah,
because I know it didn't occur to me when we were on the call yesterday, but we were able to connect to your EC2 instance. The only issue that we had was before where it was the subnet where it was initially, but we can connect. The problem is now connecting from VS Code to that EC2 instance. So it has to be a VS Code problem.
To connect to EC2 instance, don't you want to use terminals?
No, I don't. See, the thing is even beyond terminals or the VS Code, right? I cannot even connect to the instance via the console, via the AWS console. I cannot. If I click on connect, we cannot even.
No, but you can now. But you were able to do that yesterday. You connected now.
No, it did not connect. It did not connect. Yeah. What we were able to resolve was the subnet to the. Let me.
Okay, share your screen again, because I know you were able to connect yesterday. It was VS Code to connect to that EC2 instance that was a problem.
You guys met yesterday.
We met though.
I hope you were able to learn one or two things. Do a few things though.
Well, yeah, like I told Bliss yesterday, I said I learned what not to do. You understand? Because sometimes in training, all we are focused on is how to do something. But what I learned being on the call with him yesterday was what not to do when I'm, doing when I'm setting up my infrastructure. So yes, it wasn't a wasted time.
I hope you were able also to learn to do one or two things. Because
I don't know if I'm the only one pending that did not complete that project.
Recording in progress.
Which of the projects? Okay, Bliss has been.
The WordPress, the last one you gave to us.
Oh, okay. I know
just a moment.
You were able to work on the projects. Did you complete it, or I know you said you were had to go do.
Yeah, it was. I will complete it this weekend, but
hope you don't
because I was having issue with the SQL bench and all.
I hope you don't. You're terminating or you're stopping the instances. So instead of terminating, you can stop if you don't complete. You're not able to complete it at a stretch. You can always stop those resources, and you don't get billed from them. Yeah, but if you have a specific IP address,
okay,
you can't stop it.
Let me share my screen now. The host is allowing multiple presenter sharing for this meeting. So
I can see that it's IAC we want to talk about today, you guys. You want to take
but Mo, you can't leave me hanging.
If you continue to, if you keep going without fixing foundational issues, you will just continue. You just keep compounding the issue that we're having.
It will be. So if we just remain here, okay.
I'm not saying we should remain here because I don't have this problem, but I'm just saying it for the benefit of other people that might learn from what Bliss is experiencing.
I totally agree with you. That was why I was thinking I could even connect with him earlier to get this resolved.
I don't know.
Okay, so that's the new ins that we created yesterday. If you click on the instance ID, from what I remember yesterday, if you go to connect.
Is it running? Okay.
From EC2 instance connect, that first tab. If you click on that,
just a moment. Okay.
Yeah, and then you connect. You're able to connect. Scroll down, and you're able to connect yesterday from this one. I saw this.
Let's see that.
I remember where.
Okay. Yeah.
We connected now. That's what I'm saying. I mean, we're able to connect with this one. That's it.
This is the cloud share. Yeah.
That's it. We are connected.
Understand what this is issue is.
I mean, so like I said, when we met yesterday, the initial issue that we had was the way he set up the VPC. The public subnets were not seeing the internet gateway.
The
subnet association was wrong. Let's just put it like that. So it was not able to connect from outside.
Okay.
Right? Because even though it's in the public subnet, it was still like it was not accessible. So we're able to fix that, where it was able to we created a new internet gateway, or we added the internet gateway to those subnets, and then we associated it correctly. And then we created this new instance, and we're able to connect, because right now you can see you are connected from AWS. So if you go to Temios now, if you test this connection with Temios, let's see what happens from Temios. Because I knew it was not possible to connect from VS Code. I remember that. But if you try Temios, let's see what happens with Temios.
I think the issue is okay. Let me try Temios again, because I've almost deleted everything on Temios just to resolve this issue.
Okay.
Okay, I think
make sure the IP is correct, because the IP changes every time you
go back and check the IP.
Okay. It's 5485, all that good stuff. Okay. And then the key would be that new ins key that you created.
Yeah.
That's what
just
make sure you have the key.
Yeah, click on that password key now. Yeah, there. No. Yeah, exactly. Key.
You have to go to add your key first. Yeah.
Import from key file. Yeah, new KPM. Yep, that was it. Okay. Did you save that?
Just leave that.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think you saved that too. Okay, it's there. Okay.
It's there, yeah.
So just leave that. Just close it.
Sorry.
Top right.
Yeah. That's it now.
So I tried this.
Oh God!
But why is this issue persistent here? Because I think
okay, let us try it from here again. But like I told you, the only problem I remember yesterday was that you couldn't connect from this one. No, it's not going to work right now because the IP is different. Because every time you set is here, so you have to go back to that. And change that configuration file. I look like the IP is the same. Is it the same? I think so.
No. No, I don't think it's same. Let me just go back and copy.
Why do people want to be using VS Code or connecting easily as an SSH?
Because VS Code is free now. Temios is long term.
You can still use Temios for free. You still have a number of you know.
Well, I don't trust you again, Moyo. That's how you told me that. You told us we're fine. I don't trust you right now.
My God, did you just say you don't trust your trainer? Okay, no problem.
No. Basically that I will still pay now on
So
that
it's still,
elastic cash.
the IP is still same. Nothing has changed.
Okay. 85 79 116.
Yeah.
Okay. There's nothing. Okay, let's connect now. Let's try and connect. If
54 85 79 116.
Yeah, that's what I remembered. I remembered it wasn't working from VS Code, and I suspect that your VS Code installation is problematic. If you try to connect it and it doesn't connect, that's what I would say. I would say,
so on multiple system.
I mean, you see now, you were able to connect. You were able to connect from Temios, which is also using SSH. You were able to connect from AWS, which is the same SSH.
Obviously,
so what is obviously is your is this guy.
Maybe
Moyo, this is part of the money I paid, right? For VS Code.
So part of the things I would want you to even get out of all of this is fixing your own problem. Yeah. So even though you have every one of us to help you, but for minor things like this, I'll say you're on your own. But at least you know that.
Yes,
just maybe like Henry suggested, install. I don't know if you've done that and try to install it. Just choose from the basic configuration. That should be fun.
And is there something within VS Code that is blocking SSH connections? Is that a possibility?
That's actually
so those are some of the questions, because again, like I said, if it was an instance problem, if it was an AWS problem, you would not be able to connect. It doesn't matter whether you go get a Temios professional or premium Temios. It doesn't matter. You will not be able to reach that EC2 instance. So if you're able to connect from Temios and you're able to connect from AWS, it definitely is VS Code.
So yeah, safe. Go and continue your projects.
So what recommendation do I have for the VS Code?
Delete it.
I have done that, Henry. I have uninstalled and reinstalled. Like I told you.
So during your installation process, again, we were not there when you were installing, so we don't know what error message you saw and you chose to ignore.
No error message. Like I said, I even have to bring in a different system. Like I said, this system I'm currently working with is domain joint. So I was even having that possibly that could be the reason why I'm having this. So I have to get a different system and do everything afresh again on a different system. And same, I still could not. Even
I'm gonna wear my service desk hat when I was a service desk guy. What I would tell you is, I believe you. I'm not saying I don't believe you, but what I would say is, whatever it is you've done before that you say you've done before, do it again.
Yes, sir.
So uninstall it and reinstall it.
I will do it again by next week.
That's what I would say, because I've seen situations where people say, "Oh, I did this, I did that," but when you get there, it's a simple thing. You just tell them, and they will do it in front of you, and they work, and they will swear with their great grandfather that thing they did it before, and you'll be wondering like, okay, I can't say you are lying. That's not what I'm saying, but as far as replicating the problem, we're not able to replicate the problem. So if you can uninstall, I wish we had the time. If Moyo doesn't mind, I would like for us to uninstall and then reinstall together.
Let me do that on my private time, and if there's any, I'll chat you up. So
Okay.
This is fine. You figure it out since it's VS Code. That does not even stop you from completing your project.
Yeah, you can connect from Temios, so you can use Temios for now. So if you need to.
All right. Thanks, guys. For those just joining, welcome. First weekend has been good.
Your voice is low, sir.
What'd you say?
I said your voice is a bit down low.
Oh, sorry about that. I will start screaming. right, so welcome once again. So you guys are saying we have to do this serverless memo by force by file. Okay, so we'll just I'll just quickly run through it since.
Hello, Blessing. We can see your screen. Oh.
I thought I was sharing already.
I can see Blessing's screen.
Blessing's screen, I'm seeing as well.
Please, could you please?
So can you stop sharing?
Me?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Yes, boss.
apologies. I was away from myself.
Okay.
No. Okay, you can proceed now.
Thank you. So we were supposed to actually work on this controlling servers project using AWS Lambda yesterday, but I just thought, yeah, this is something that probably again we should have started this IAC last. Yeah, that's it. We have quite a lot of things we should talk about also. So I thought we just quickly run through this. I know there will always be questions, blockers to the different projects that you guys are supposed to work on. Yeah. And yeah, so let's just walk through this, and then if time permits us, we'll just, for anybody still having any issues, that worked on the project and probably have to. But I know all of our sessions together, the videos probably talk about the problem. Harry, I didn't even ask if you were able to complete the projects. You only stopped at Elastic Cache chopping your money.
Well, so the Elastic Cache is completely different from the. Remember when we started last week? I was asking when we're doing the highly available website, the dynamic one. Where I stopped was where I had to request for a certificate, and it was taking a long time, and I had to go do other things, and I'm not about to wait for 10 hours before I look at you have $7 a month. Hi,
No,
that's not bad. I would take $7 over over what I have right now.
I told you I saw the view over the
Yeah.
not funny at all.
So it was taking too long for my certificate to get issued, so I just stopped. I just canceled everything and deleted all the resources. But
have they issued this
huh?
Has the certificate been issued? Or you cancelled
the
you
I canceled everything. It was like I said, it was taking too long.
You don't pay for certificate.
I won't pay for certificate.
No.
No, what I'm saying
get-
is I know
Okay.
what I'm saying is for me to complete the project, I wanted to sit down, make sure everything was completed before I left my desk so I can delete everything. But the certificate was taking too long and I had other things to do. So I couldn't wait for the certificate to get issued. But when it comes to like following your steps during the training, for the most part, I've seen success. The only problem that I have is that if I wanted to do it on my own, I have to go back and watch the video again because I don't remember those steps.
Originally, so you can maybe take notes or just documents as you see it. Like, okay, yes, this is how I work. So like when I need to do this, do that. I think that should work instead of having to watch the videos all over again. If you watch it once, maybe you can take the appropriate notes. You can just use your notes instead of having to. Because in between the videos, I still talk about other things. People ask questions, and that would ask plenty of time.
Mr. Mayo, I don't know. Maybe it's only me. I can't hear you clearly.
I mentioned earlier now. You didn't hear me when I mentioned earlier. I'm not hearing properly.
And I'm screaming here. Hey. Let me see.
You guys should not turn Moyo to Aguero now.
So your voice is very clear now, Henry. You took over.
Yeah, because your own is clear, but I don't know why.
But
I
can
said
you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. They shouldn't turn you to bus conductor now.
But two people are saying, even Pauline is saying I can't hear me, and it's strange.
They should go and wash their ears now. Maybe their ears are.
Maybe Moyo is using Glow Network. Moyo, are you using Glow?
No, not being. I have to tell 5G and internet. It's strange, seriously. Is it that you can't hear clearly or it's breaking? If it's breaking, I'll say
Yeah, it's like breaking between.
It's visible, but it's not as loud as it's like
Yeah.
the microphone
not
you're
loud.
using. Either you can check your system if you're using the system microphone, if you can switch to your headset microphone or try and just toggle it.
Okay. Why is Pelumi threatening Henry with AWS like this?
I don't blame him now. Because they never knock him too. They also knock you. Don't worry.
Okay,
You
yeah,
get
I'm sure it should be clearer now. So
Yeah, it's better now.
okay. Thank you. All right. So let's quickly, for the next 30 minutes, we should be able to complete this serverless. Again, the goal for this particular project is just to automate the start time and then the stop time of an EC2 instance. So that's like one of the use cases for serverless. There are a bunch of use cases now. Yeah. But in organizations, mostly this particular one is one of the things that you probably, if you have a fleet of instance servers now that is used for maybe specific task now. So instead of just burning and then you don't have to have the instance running, around the clock. Yeah, so you can just do this. It's a one-time thing, yeah. And you find out for most serverless configurations or provisioning that you'll be doing, they're usually a one-off thing. Maybe while you're trying to set it up, you have to take time to actually do it, especially when you're doing it manually. Yeah, so the goal of this particular project now is again to schedule our EC2 instance to start and stop at particular times. And I think I painted a picture of, the use case that I've used it for. There's an ETL, tool that needs to run. The data engineers actually use to do the ETL, pick from the data warehouse, run their transformations, and then populate the BI dashboard, so that's they can do all of their plenty analysis and what have you. And then it runs in batches. They have specific time depend. There are multiple jobs that needs to run, but they've scheduled it that they all run almost concurrently now. Yeah, so the instance in which that ETL tool is running only needs to be up for maybe 2-3 hours. Just spending, if there are no failures in their jobs, in 3 hours it should be done. So why pay for the rest of the 21 hours? So I will be spinning up an EC2 instance now that we'll be using to quickly run this. I will call this, just call this serverless. The more to use an EC2 instance, it's going to won't even, again, it's just to I don't want to create an next so let me just choose well, okay, I've cleaned up all of this, so I'm just going to use this. It is, I don't have anything running on it, so it's just going to be a bare instance. Yeah.
See without keep here. This is actually very new. This thing used to be here. I'm seeing it for the first time actually. The Lambda service now is what we'll be using it alongside Event Bridge. That's where we run our scheduler from. Yeah. So, but for all of this to communicate, we need to create kind of policies because the Lambda needs to have the right permission to be able to, start and stop the EC2 instances or the EC2 instance now. And also Event Bridge should be able to, when we get to that, notify Lambda, especially if you're running the schedule, or if it's maybe to respond to a certain, any kind of event. So Lambda, serverless, usually it's either if you have a workload that should respond to an event or can be triggered by maybe an API call. So those are the use cases mostly that you want to consider, Lambda using serverless. If you have kind of an architecture that does not need to be up and running, 24 hours, that should only, it can be triggered once in a while, or some API call, maybe by an API call, or you want to run like a cron kind of architecture. So the Lambda will work fine in that use case. So I'm just going to duplicate this because I'll be needing coming to my IAM. I'm going to create a policy for that Lambda will be using. I'm sure I have that policy already, but this policies now. I'm going to create policy for what error code, where is that? I'm going to create
Specify permissions.
So for some reason I don't understand. Why can't I create policy or permissions instead of it? Let's just reload this page. So what happened to you before? So I'm going to create a policy for EC2 instance. I think we've done this once or twice. So action. I'm going to look for describe instance. Describe instances should be somewhere here. There's a lot of describe. So describe instance. Describe instance is what I want. I also want a start instance policy. Start instance action. I'm just going to leave for wildcard. You can't specify if it's just that one instance also, you can specify also. You have to go get the ARN and specify all of those things. Well, I'm just going to move ahead and then next. I'm just going to call this start to demo. Just going to it's good. Go ahead.
Sorry, so why did you add a stop to the policy? Policy start and describe.
So there will be there are going to be two different events, start and stop. Yeah. So I would want when the Lambda needs to trigger, because you'll be creating two different Lambda functions. When we get there, you see why. You want the that particular function now to use the start policy so that it doesn't break things. If you put both start and stop on in one policy now, and then anything can actually happen when it needs to start, and now it's stopping the instance. So you want to kind of be granular, especially when you are dealing with functions and what have you. So I will be creating this. We're going to also create another policy for stopping the instance. It's going to be an EC2 also, just the same thing I did. It's going to describe also. Describe instance and also stop instance here. Stop EC2 demo is ECS. 2 is what you want. And should create that. Now we can, go to our Lambda and run code without thinking about servers. That is kind of very ambiguous, but okay. I have a number of functions here. Oh, okay. I know who created this. It's me that created it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create a function. So again, to learn about a particular service, if you go to the home page of that service, you can even use Q to get more information about the resource. We'll be authoring this from scratch, and just going to call this start EC2. For lack of name. So we have multiple runtimes that we can use in authoring our functions. But the beauty about this is, and I keep saying, you don't even need to be a senior dev or a software engineer to be able to write functions. So most of these frameworks now, they have helper functions now that makes writing whatever function you want to write much easier. And thanks to generative AI now, just prompt it for something, and it will give you exactly what you need. So I'll be using Python 3.11 is fine, or whatever is the latest Python. You can use that, and I'm using Python because it has this very handy framework. It's called Boto now, to help in both infrastructure provisioning and quite a number of use cases that Boto makes easy. Just like Python is gaining popularity, in data analysis. So because of those helpers that you have, that makes life very easy. So I will be choosing this, and then I will be creating this.
How much does it cost if you leave it on?
You mean the Lambda function?
Yes.
So because it only Lambda itself is, you don't get billed for the Lambda function, but because it's working, it's not sitting in isolation. It's being triggered to run something. So this is like the what I say, the architecture or the of what's going to happen. Right now, you just have this function. It's not actually doing anything, you know. So this is where you now have to architect it, kind of say, okay, yes, if something happens, if an event happens, run this function, and in turn, this function should do something else, should either provision, let me just say maybe provision an EC2 instance, or create an API gateway, or in our case now, stop an EC2 instance. Yeah, so is that whatever service that you have as the destination that the Lambda function is triggering? If you have to, mostly it's going to be some form of infrastructure now. So that's what you actually pay for, and yeah.
Okay, but does it matter what region it's being created in? Because you're creating in North Virginia right now.
It's a region specific. So whatever function I create in North Virginia, if I go to, Ohio, it's not going to be there. Yeah, so it's
I understand that. I'm saying, so if you create it in North Virginia, you're trying to stop instances in Ohio. Are you able to do that?
No, you won't even. It won't. So you see.
Okay.
So just like it won't work. Yeah.
Okay.
You won't see that, because you, as part of your listing now, you would need to add say an AMI or something. And so if that AMI does not, AMI is now region specific. So if that AMI is not from that region, so we'll try it out, and then if you want to play around it, you can see how this will work. So what am I doing? I've created my function. I didn't get that.
You want to add a trigger?
Yes, I was talking about, but first and foremost, we need to come down here and to the code parts. Yeah, we only just created this function now. We've not actually added our own code to it. Right now, we only have this default hello from Lambda. So it uses an object basically. Don't worry about all of the programming concepts in here. There are a few things that maybe would make sense to you. If you're going to define a function in Python now, you use the define def keyword. Yeah. So I wouldn't worry with too much with this. When you start creating a number of functions now, it would all make sense. So I have the code that's been generated by my very good friend. Yeah, I'm just going to get that. Where is this code? Not done for this. Yeah, there you are. All right, so I'm going to take off all of this and I'm going to replace this. So it's again, is using now the Boto 3 framework, or to pull in different use some helper functions now that would help you both specify your EC2 instance, the region, and whatever. That's why you had to add the describe policy action to that particular policy that we created, because you need to get the EC2 instance first and then be able to start and stop it. Yeah. So
can you please post this in the chat window so we can.
Mary is following along. Ginger.
So that if it works now, I know that I don't have to.
You have to do it again.
Correct. Yeah. I'm gonna delete it immediately.
All right. So again, There are a few things going on in here, but I wouldn't bother yourself too much with it. But intuitively, if you look at it, it will make sense. It's just basically getting the region and then the instance. I need to get my instance ID. So it's going to get that instance ID now. Replace this in here. Then it's going to check first if the instance is running. If it's running, obviously, doesn't have to do anything again. And if it's not running, to start it, yeah. Yeah, just do a try catch block in here. So and so you have this deploy key here. Anytime you actually add a new, you update your code, there are times where you will probably need to change a few things in your code. You have to deploy when changes have been added. So you see that successfully updated the function now. And then I will come to configuration. Let's just try and see if our instance will work. Okay, yes, I want to reduce timeout. 3 minutes, 3 seconds. Okay, 3 seconds is actually fine. That's the amount of time it will try to run the function. So I'm just going to increase this to say 15 seconds. And then, okay, this is service role. I think automatically picked. Oh, I have quite a number of them there. So start is the one. I think it was start EC2 demo. Okay, it's fine. Going to save this. But before we do this, let me stop this instance so we can actually see that, because we'll test. Let me stop this instance. We'll test that Lambda function now to see that it will work. Going to come back here. I've saved my configuration, so I'll come back to my code and let me run this test. So I'm going to create an event. Like I said, Lambda functions, they respond to an event. Yeah, something must happen that will trigger that function. So I'm just going to quickly do a start instance event. Just going to trigger this manually. Going to leave every other thing because I don't need all of this. If we needed to pass in a value to our function now, yeah, this is where you actually add those values. If probably, yeah, need to pass a value to the function. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to come back to configuration. I think okay, just wanted to confirm. Yeah, okay, so it's fine. So you must have that EC2 instance role that you have. Okay, let me just click on this and then this role that was created now, attach a policy that we created. So it's so yeah, WS Lambda basic execution role. So I'm going to attach policy. That policy, the start EC2 instance policy that we created, starts EC2 demo. Each of them they do create recently. Starts EC2 demo. I think it's this that we just created, and then I'm going to, yeah, that's fine. So I can come back.
Sorry, I think you lost me for a minute. So if you go back to the
Lambda function. So it came to permissions.
In it. Okay.
Yeah, so this role, you just want to click on the role to be sure that you have this starts EC2 demo attached to it. Because this role got created when we were creating the function got created when we created the name, you even say. So just attach that.
So you use add permission, right? Attach policy to it.
Yes, add permission, attach permission. Yeah. then you select permission that you want to select. All right. Okay. I hope the rest of us are still are with me. So if I come back to code now and click on tests, let's see if things will work fine. Let's click on test, execution. All right. Plenty error, syntax, error, major invalid character, line 5. Saying there is an invalid character in line 5. Roto AC2. So I see here that truly, Eri, you probably want to chill. That thing I sent has error inside it. My instance ID is supposed to be in quotes. So region name US Eastward is not supposed to be the only one quoted. There have to be a single quote around the whole region. So you want to update that. And then again, whenever you make any change in your code, you have to redeploy, else when you run, it's going to be the same issue that you had. So you see that's by character. Okay, that's the only error there. So I'm going to close out this execution error. Don't have any of this. So I'm going to test this again. And hopefully nothing breaks again. All right, so I see that I got status 200. Instance is being started, and then you get some other meta information. If I come back to my instance now, the instance is stopped. It was stopped. I stopped it, but if I refresh this, I should see that the instance has been started, which so our start instance function actually works, which is good. Now we've not actually, we are just testing the function now. We've not added any trigger or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we are not actually, if we could create, say, an SNS topic now, that we added, to alert you. And again, this can, from this particular function, you can actually do a number of things. And then all of them will be dependent on, what you have inside of your function, actually.
Okay.
So this works. Now we've created the starting instance that we need to repeat, just what we did now for stop instance. So I'm going to come back here, and then I'm going to create a stop instance function. What did I call that start one? I'm going to call stop. EC2 demo. Okay, so I'm choosing Python also. So no matter what, I'm going to create you. And what are the things I did to that? Okay, this is my stop EC2 demo. I get my code from wherever it is. Stop EC2 instance. I'm just going to paste it in the chat so Eric can have this also. Check this off and paste this, and be sure to get my instance ID and update that. Yes, it's one. I see that I have Eri, please. I don't know why the single quotes are failing or why it's not been there. So you want to take note of.
Yeah, that's fine. I already fixed it for my first one, and I was able to start the instance.
Oh, okay. So creating the stop instance function also. So I'm going to deploy this.
Yeah, but you didn't give me this function.
Yeah. Oh, I've not pasted it in the chat.
No. Sorry. It's not the same. It's not the same function you are using for the start and start.
No, I'm creating. There are two different functions. So so when we ran the stop, when we tested the start function, that's for stats. So yeah, separate, just a function should do one thing. Yeah, you don't want to complicate the function. So that's programming 101. You want your function to do just one thing. Else,
yeah, I'm thinking maybe just changing the variables where start is to stop.
Yes, if you look at it, they are very, it's almost the same thing. Yeah. Error, stopping, error. It uses the client, gets described, and then just almost the same thing. It's just when EC2 client does stop, uses start, and then that's the only difference here. Yeah. So just going to configure this. Let me just increase this to 15 seconds first. So in case the function takes longer to run, I'm going to save this. Still come back to configuration and check my permissions. So this permission now should have the stop policy. So right now it doesn't. So I'm going to add and attach this and then search for stop. EC2 demo, it's the one we created. I'm going to add that permission to this. And that's good. Come back to my function. All right, so come back to code. So EC2 should be up and running now. So we're going to stop you back. And that's why we created you, so we can stop and start you as we want. So coming back here now, and I want to run the test. I'm just going to call this stop instance. And I'm not passing any in there. All things being equal, they should stop our instance back when we run this. Don't try any of this. All right, so instance is being stopped. We have our functions up and running, which is good. All right, so if I check this, I should see this is stopping. So now we want to now create a schedule, that's trigger now that should, that event now that should trigger this function, to cause it to run. So we'll be using, again, the CloudWatch event bridge, mostly. I'll be coming to CloudWatch. CloudWatch has an event bridge. Why? I don't know. Is it my network that is making AWS timeout? Yeah, see my billing have expired though. So events is what I want to come to here, and I want to come to rules. Yeah, so I'll be creating a rule that would start and stop EC2 instance. Scaling manage rule. So I'm going to come to create rule. I'm just going to call this EC2 start EC2 rule, which is perfectly fine. Rule to start EC2 instance. Why are you giving me everything that I need? So there are two different types of rules now. Yeah, you could have a rule that would be triggered
another application. You use the application
when there's an event. Yeah, so say maybe a spike in an anomaly, in some logs, or some metrics now. So you can have a rule for that matches a kind of pattern, maybe a CPU high or what have you, or you can run a schedule more like
Chrome.
Yeah. So current scheduling. Okay. Don't want it. I'm going to continue in Event Bridge scheduler. You can have either a one-time or
sorry, sorry, I missed some of your configuration there.
Okay. Well, so the only thing I chose there was so I was just explaining the rule type. What you want is for scheduling. I don't
No, I'm still in the first section where it says define rule detail. So
define rule details.
define
So
rule
it's
detail,
just the name, just give it a name. That's the most important.
Are you using the default event boss? Okay, that's the only option there.
Yeah, yes, default event boss. Yes, the event boss should be the default one. And then the rule type should be schedule, not rule with an event pattern.
Okay, got it.
You go next and you should be here. And then going to run the pattern now is not a one-off schedule because we want it to be like a recurring kind of schedule to run maybe every day at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. should run. So it's going to be like a recurring schedule, time zone, whatever time zone you choose. And then we'll be using a cron-based schedule. Yeah. Again, there are use cases for everything here. So, but for our cron, a particular cron, they've broken it down. You can specify the minutes if you want it to run every minute. I don't know why you want that though. Or we want this to run, say, 8 a.m. every day of the month. You can say every day of the month from obviously maybe January to December, but in our use case now we're in September. So just going to choose September to December. Why am I using capital letters for that? September to December, Sunday to Saturday. It's fine. Yeah, we are 2024. Okay, minutes should be 0 so that yes, I can get the next trigger. So this will run on Monday at 8 a.m. to run on Tuesday at 8 a.m. So it will trigger kind of on and on for the rest of those period. Flexible time window. I think can just put this off if you choose within the time window. For example, if you choose 15 minutes, so I'm just going to put this off because we already have our time that we want. So we don't want it flexible, we want a rigid time. Time frame, all of this, they're optional. And then on what you want to do, that's when you'll be needing all of this option. So now we want to specify when this event happens, what should be triggered, this is basically what we are specifying in here. So we want to, if it's all APIs, you can pick mostly for API gateway or a few other AWS services that you want to trigger. But for this, we want to invoke a Lambda function. We have Lambda, we have quite a few options in here. So you're going to choose the Lambda function that we want. So it's going to be, I think it's EC2 demo. And you can still, if you had not created your Lambda function, AWS is always very thoughtful for you to go ahead and create your function. And that's all we need to do in here. Just going to go next and actions after schedule completion.
Sorry, are you going to sorry, Muyo, are you going to do create a double trigger for the start and stop separately?
Yes.
So is there any implication if you set the trigger in a single configuration for the start?
There's no option to actually set the start and stop there. If you go back to the schedule details now, there's no, you only have a schedule for one thing. So you can you in a rule now, an event, you can only so when you are creating clones like that, you can only do it one at a time, just like a function. It's more like a function also. So as you created your start and stop function separately, also the event also should be separate. So after completing this, nothing should happen. So this should be all that I need for this. And also SQS, SNS. I don't want us to go into all of those. It's going to add more complexity. So I'm just going to create a new role for this. So that's, yeah, and then return next. So you can see this is a very, very basic setup. Creating an event bridge can become more complex, again, depending on what exactly you want to achieve. So I'm going to go ahead and create this schedule. And yeah, so this is creating, and go ahead and create the stop schedule. So depending on, say you want it to run for 2 hours, it starts by 8 a.m. and by 10 a.m., you want it to stop. So go back to schedule. Sorry. We have to come back to, excuse me. Need to create a schedule in here. It's not like a rule also. And then should I go ahead and create it, or you guys get the drift already? We won't be able to actually see it, running here, because we can't wait until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning or Monday morning, to see it actually. But that's the essence of testing your function. So you always want to test your functions first before going ahead and creating whatever trigger.
Hi Muyo.
Yes.
Did you use, how many hours did you put?
How many hours? You mean for the schedule?
Yes.
Okay, so it's hours 8. So you are specifying what time
The time.
starts. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so it's not possible for us to use like a shorter time, maybe like 20 minutes, just for us to use it to test, for us to see.
Yes, we can. Yes, we
It's very
can.
possible.
Yes, we can.
Be 10 minutes, sir.
Okay. Okay, let's for our stop EC2. Yeah, let's do, because I'm sure we have instances stopping already. Okay, stopped. So okay, I'm just going to do for start again. Doesn't matter as long as we have for group current. So we want it to run in maybe 5 minutes.
02.
5 minutes every day, September to December. Yes, 2024. This would be 0. So
If you're saying 7th day of the month, meaning on the 7th of the current month. Is that
okay,
what
yes, you can go very granular. Day of the month. Yes, so
today is already 8. So if you are saying 7th day of the month, is not, won't you wait till possibly next month?
So when you actually run, when you put in your crons can be confusing. Yeah, just make sure you look at the next 10 triggers now. So for this particular one, I see that it runs every 5 minutes. So on Monday it will run at 12. Okay, so if we are scheduling, we have to be very, very granular. So we want
Yes,
this
yes,
to
yeah.
run. So let's see what time I should put this. I'll put this. What's the time now?
It's 8, 12 past 8.
past 8. So it should run at 8:15. Hopefully we're able to do this before 8:15. So it will be that's 20. What time is that?
It's 12 already. I can put it in maybe 8:18.
Okay. So 20. 20. 8:20. All right. So this will run on Sunday, 8:20. Yeah. And on Monday, 8:20. I think that's the show. We're going to invoke our Lambda function. Select this start Lambda function. And let's quickly run through this. Let's delete. Okay, you can see even deletes this once it runs. If you want to do anything else, should I just take note of that one? So this will run in 8:20. Let's create a schedule. All right, so our EC2 instance is currently stopped. So by 8:20, all things being equal, it should trigger our start EC2 demo function. So we see.
So it's not possible to rename a schedule after it's created.
Should be able to. There's an edit button here. Oh, you can't. So maybe it's one of those things that you have to do from your using the CLI.
CLI.
Actually. All right, so should have put in 8:15.
So
what did you say?
Was it 8:18 before?
But this will trigger anyways. Let's set this down. Start, stop. Also, another use case. I think I saw this as a technical. So you can automate the image resizing of. So you have an application where maybe users upload, images, pictures now, images, whatever. Yeah. So an S3 buckets, you can set up a Lambda function that get trigger each time, say an image is uploaded to an S3 bucket. That's Lambda function will get triggered, and then whatever it is you want to do with the image, you can take the image and then maybe maybe convert it to I don't know, a thumbnail or whatever, and then, or you just want to take that image and then we save it into another S3 bucket, maybe for backup or whatever. Yeah, so you can have that use case also set up. That's actually a very interesting project you guys can take up. Again, the goal is everything is it comes down to your Lambda function. Yeah. And then maybe, yes, that's where all of the work would be. And okay, yes, you have to make sure that the Lambda is able to pull the image from
the S3 bucket.
S3 buckets, yes. So yeah.
So I noticed that the package types of the function is a zip file. Does that mean that the functions can be exported and re-imported into a new environment?
Yes, actually. Yeah. So it's saying you can actually download that function, export it. So I'm thinking of the environment that we can actually export it to. Why would need to export it? Maybe you just want to have it saved on your local machine and stored for future use. Again, your function can actually do quite a lot. This is just 24 lines. We have functions, that would do a number of things. Yeah. Just the one I was talking about now, where you need to convert an image, that you will be doing using quite a number of other libraries now, helpers now. The function will definitely be larger, as it needs to, especially maybe when you need to resize and then compress an image. But the beauty is, again, Photo 3, you probably need to use quite a number of things besides Photo 3. That's use case, yeah. I think, yeah.
What language is the Lambda written in?
Lambda itself.
Yeah, this function, right? What
This
we're looking
function
at right now.
is
Yes.
Python. This is Python.
Oh, okay.
Choose
So
Python.
okay, I see that .py. I see. Okay.
.py. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes. Are you going to trigger? We're just waiting. Wait is not, again, once you set up, you just go and be doing other things. It's not something you would wait for, but Angela does not believe that I set up the right thing, so it needs evidence.
No, not that. Seeing is believing.
Seeing is believing. That's what we are saying. Oh, you have little faith. I will work there. And then we can move on to.
I said what you set up is supposed to run every 5 minutes.
No.
Increase the time again there. That time. This is almost a minute.
It's going to start and stop. It will run for 5 minutes, but not every 5 minutes.
It will run at 2020, so 8:20.
Yeah, it's already 2020 on my own end.
Okay. Hey. Lambda, come on, run. Start to event bridge. Why have you not triggered? And demo.
Relax now.
It should have triggered by now.
Of course, it should.
It's triggered.
Yeah, it's triggered.
Yeah, so.
Moyo for president.
It's not me. Now waiting AWS setup. But again, it's going to be a one-time.
So when will it stop?
We've not set up this. We didn't set up this.
We didn't set up stop. I thought we set up everything.
Set up the start one. I just created.
Old
one we created was for is start. Yeah, because you
we
wanted.
can schedule the stop to be maybe 20 minutes or maybe after it starts, right?
Depending on depending.
No, we can't
on how
set
long
it up
you want
together. It has to be
instance to-
separate.
Yes, you create a schedule, separate schedule for that, and then the target
Separate for that one.
to be.
We don't need that. At least we don't sabi this already. Same format we use.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's why I didn't go ahead. I was going to create it, but I said, nah, it's the same thing. Just that when you now need to select your target, it's going to be the stop function of your, Lambda service. Yeah.
Hopefully AWS won't charge us.
What'd you say?
They'll charge you.
So they're not charging you for your. Every no one hear that one. What you will be billed for your instance now. However, how long your instance is running for, you will pay for that. But for your Lambda function, if it's not, no, you don't get billed for. Okay, maybe there's no data that is being transferred in here. It's only triggering something. Yeah, so it's, you're not getting billed. The Lambda function itself is I don't want to use that free, because truly one way or the other they would look for a way to bill you, whether in cents, but the bill you want to look out for is your whatever infrastructure that is being triggered as whatever it is, that's that Lambda function, that's destination now of your Lambda function. Even your event bridge, it's just a trigger. Yeah, just some called their helpers also inside of your AWS ecosystem. Now you have services like that now that you can use to do other things, and it's those other things that
for
go ahead.
For the serverless thing, how do we apply it to like the real life application? When do we do this?
So I painted a picture before we started all of this. Now, say I know I've set up an EC2 instance now that is running an ETL application tool that's data engineers use. Yeah, that's a real life scenario. Yeah, so but you don't want to the tool running in here now only needs to run, in the early hours of the morning, say at 1 a.m. in the morning, and needs to run for 2 hours, and for the rest of the day, the instance is running. But you can't terminate the instance. It needs to, it should be there, because that tool, the ETL tool, I don't know if you've seen, an ETL, and then the amount of jobs transformation, that's been done in there. That's instance is actually very useful if the business is actually using it for, the analysis and what have you. Yeah, so just set up that function to start and stop that instance at the time when maybe a minute or 2 minutes before whatever, because the data engineers also must have, automated the pulling of data from whatever warehouse now that they are using data warehouse, and then wherever it is that it is, loading that data to. Yeah, that also has been automated, so they don't even have to go, trigger it. So once the instance is up and running, the tool also will trigger, and then all of that process is automated. Nobody needs to come and start and stop, or you don't have to leave the instance running for the whole of the day, and then it's only 2 hours of the day that's is actually doing something. So you will be kind of maximizing that's your infrastructure. Yeah, basically only pay for what is being used, and that's one of the beauty of cloud computing. Yeah, and again, I mentioned also there are other use cases. Yeah, again, very complicated use cases, real life. So I was going to use an e-commerce kind of use case. So again, the architecture of your application needs to support, say, maybe it should be, microserviced, so you can have, API gateways, say you only want to call a certain API. Yeah, so there's no way I'll try to explain this that would not kind of bring up some technical things that we are not. There's not everybody here that would, understand. Yeah, so can trigger APIs that only maybe when they need to check out, or they'll trigger an API, then that function just needs to maybe calculate some a discount or tax, because your APIs, everything that is running, I want to say over the internet now, whether you're trying to get your open your chat GPT or whatever generative AI now to give you a prompt or something as basic as maybe just checking out from an e-commerce website now. All of those, the client server model is always there. So the code that is sending back those responses sitting somewhere. Yeah. So, but you can automate and save cost on that infrastructure that is housing that code. Now you don't want to have it running at all times. You only should be triggered, when it's needed. And because of the way infrastructure is, being both created and destroyed now. We'll talk about mutable and immutable infrastructure very soon. Can have infrastructure that only gets created when you actually need it. Yeah, so that's the whole concept of serverless. Makes you only use or infrastructure when it's needed, basically. All right, let me terminate this so that AWS will not collect money. I hope we're good on this and we can move on.
Does AWS charge you for stopped servers?
No, they don't.
Okay, so why do you have to terminate all the time?
Because I'm not using it again.
Okay. So also, when you were creating the 5 minutes schedule, did you use an existing role, or you created a new role for the schedule?
So
basically,
because
every time
I didn't take note of the existing role, so I didn't want to risk it. I just had to create a new role. So you can always clean up all of those things. Yeah.
Yeah, because it looks like when I just tested one right now, I created one, and I did it to start like every 2 minutes, right? And I use an existing rule and it's not starting. So if I want to check for errors, where do I go to check for errors to see where something is going wrong?
In your scheduler, I've deleted the scheduler.
Okay, I mean, I still have mine up. If you want me to share my screen, you can show it.
Okay, I'm not very, very sure, but I'm sure in your scheduler, you should have the option to see if that's, event was triggered and if it wasn't triggered or not. From your CloudTrail also, you can actually see all of those events. Come to CloudTrail because all of the API calls that has been made in your account, you should have those there also. The CloudTrail should log all of those things, and if you have
event history,
any error there. So there's
start instances right there.
Yeah. This runs successfully, so yeah, so you can actually, I'm trying to see if I can get the policy that's says key. So these are the temporary policy ID role, C2 start instance role. I think this is that role. Yeah, that's the assumed role that they used. So you can just, if you get that rule, you can go and see if it has the right permission to, but I'm not sure it will give you the
so basically
error itself.
So basically what I did was, when you created the first schedule, right? You created that to start like I think maybe 8 a.m. every day.
8 a.m. every day,
and
yes.
then you created another one that started every 7 minutes or something, right?
Just started at 8:20
yes,
of every day.
correct. Well, yeah, you did that one. So while you were creating that one, did you create a new
rule?
Did you use a new role, or you
Yes,
use the
so
existing role?
the option to create a new role was there, so I just used that instead of selecting because it's the depending, I want to believe to start or stop an instance is just the same amount of permissions you would need. Yeah, so most times you can go ahead and go and check the different rules that you have in there and see the permissions that they have, and you'd see, especially when AWS is actually creating rules for you, they actually, even though still, so you have event bridge, it's just the what is appended to it that would now differ now. So yeah, just on this up. So starts. It's just the invoke function. Yeah, so it should work. Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not working because it's not starting my instance.
Are you sure you chose the right, Lambda function?
Yes, I did choose the right Lambda function. So I gave it a name. I selected recurring schedule, and when it came to the cron expression, I chose 2 minutes, 0 hours, and for the day of the month, I put a question mark in
That's
there.
I said it that so you want to check. It's going to give you, after creating your the schedule now, you should confirm from the first 10. It will give you a list of the first occurrence of that schedule. You should. That's always, because crons can be very, very truly, especially when you're. So I have this cron tab that I use, but AWS even has made it very, very granular. So helps you. Or yeah, you can also use it later this day. Share your cron, probably is the way your cron is configured now. That's is not making it run. I'll come and clean you up all later. Can we move ahead, Henry?
Yeah. Let's go ahead, please. I'll play with that later.
All right. I got deleted all of this. We'll clean you up later. We will just jump into IAC because I was going to ask if you guys want us to even unblock anybody having any issue in AWS. But yeah, I think Henry is for you guys. You guys can always go to Henry for unblocking. All right, Henry,
Why don't we unblock me now?
For
if we have time for unblocking, why don't we unblock
this
my
Lambda?
schedule?
This is again, I know is the cron that is not making it run. As long as you tested your function when you created it and it started and it stopped. Yeah.
Yes.
So whatever troubleshooting you're going to have or whatever issue is going to come from, the that schedule.
Okay. I will keep looking.
Before we jump into IAC, I propose a 5-minute break. Is that fine?
Yes, that's fine by me. I like 10 actually. I would like 10 actually.
Okay, 10 minutes. 10 minutes it is then.
10 minutes, yeah.
All righty. Welcome back, guys, to this session. I hope you guys are back. Or
I'm here with you.
all right, thank you. So,
Master
Henry.
Yeah, I'm here. I didn't leave.
All right, cool.
Okay.
So we are jumping into IAC now. So this module is actually interesting, or would be interesting, because, and we appreciate it because we actually took our time, even though I know I put this out when we started out the cloud computing session, that a month to learn cloud computing would just be scratching the surface. But I think I am kind of confident on how far we, have gone. Yeah, again, daily, there's always something new to learn. Yeah, whether you are just starting out or you have been using any cloud provider for years, there is always something that you've probably not come across before. So it's a journey, but the foundation is very, very important. And I want to believe you guys already have that foundation. Yeah, on cloud computing. And so we're still building on that cloud computing knowledge with IAC. Everything we have done or that's been doing manually, now we want to take it a step further by learning to automate it. Yeah.
Sorry, Moyo, please. Sorry to interrupt. I just checked my bill again. I see that I've gone up higher than even yesterday, way up. And I'm trying to clean things up, right? And I'm looking at my Elasticache, because it actually does say my Elasticache is the culprit. So I don't know what else I need to delete. I looked at the Redis OSS cache and I deleted that yesterday. But I noticed that if I go in the backups, I still saw that there was a backup there, so I just deleted that one right now. So I don't know what else I need to.
When you
I just know
you
I don't know.
deleted it to ask you, do you want to create a backup? Maybe you checked that.
I did not. I did not check anything like that. Maybe maybe it's checked by default, and I left it checked. I didn't uncheck it. So yes, that's maybe what it was, because you see that it created yesterday, which is when I deleted the thing. So I'm looking at the subnet group. I'm looking at the parameter groups. I see a bunch of parameter groups in there. I'm looking at user management. I don't know what else is gonna. Go ahead.
It's probably that backup now that's made the bill go up now.
Yeah, because when I deleted yesterday, it was about 170 hours that I've used, and now I checked it's about 210 hours.
Jeez.
And the bill has gone up to like $60-something now.
Jeez.
So.
And so are you sure that it's not in another? You don't have it in another region?
I don't think I have. I've not been using any other region except the Ohio region.
Well, from your billing dashboard, you should be able to see every region that you have.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. So it's just US East Ohio region.
Okay.
There's no other region.
But and it gives you
yesterday
all of the services running also.
Yes. So it gave me also like that I used for relational database. It gave me what I used, but I've deleted that one. There's nothing
that should
there, and that one has not increased since yesterday.
Yeah, I'm sure it's that backup. Yeah, and it's a good thing you've got it before next week, or else now $200 you did take play with that.
Harry,
yes.
don't you think Belumi may be responsible for this? No,
he mentioned it. He mentioned it.
No.
Sorry, he mentioned it.
Chat
Yeah, that
now.
was
Look at it.
I have a feeling that he's the one responsible.
Maybe
the
he
agent.
is.
Is the AWS agent that has been set out to get Henry to spend money.
Pay the difference.
Say that again.
Sorry, Belumi, let you pay the difference.
Belumi is in another planet right now. He's not talking to us. He's only chatting. He's not talking. He has decided that.
Sorry about that, Henry.
No problem.
Like you said earlier, yeah, all of these things, they are part of the learning experience. You know how to manage your infrastructure costs now. You must be very, very let's see what's that word now. You have to put it into consideration a lot. So once you are the one provisioning infrastructure, whether for an organization or personally, the costs, is one of those things that you want to look out for. Yeah, I was on a call with two AWS representatives on Friday. Yeah, because we're trying to set up some AI workload, and one of the things I was discussing with them was how can we get, because if you're setting up infrastructure for AI is a money spender. So one of the reasons why I got on the call is, okay, how can you guys support us? Yeah, in terms of yeah, we want to set up a proof of concept first, but we don't want to spend so much. Yeah, we want to be sure that yes, whatever it is we're setting up is going to be a good fit. So he said, okay, yeah, we would have to introduce you to, I think the two of them, there's solutions architect, yeah. But he said they have FinOps experts now. That's we have to set up another meeting with FinOps experts, and they are the ones that will be able to rightly guide when it comes to cost optimization and getting the right architecture for whatever workload that you're working with. It's like, okay, that's interesting. So costs, billing, those are things that is gone beyond just 1 or 2 hours a day of whatever it is you're doing. There are people that spend their 9 to 5 looking at how to manage cost, how to save cost, and all of those. But yeah, once you can manage that billing dashboard, you have quite a lot going on in there. You can also set up billing alarms and all of those things to help you guide against unnecessary spend. All right. I said we are moving to trying to automate all of those things that we have manually done. Yeah, and like I said, we are on the right path because I've had to train people without I don't want to say, yeah, okay, so without any cloud computing knowledge, they just wanted to jump into automating. I don't think I want to go that route again, because trying to automate what you have no idea about, everything would be very, very abstract. Yeah. So even from when we learned about cloud formation, it was maybe not fully straightforward, but at least especially when you have like a very complex architecture now, or whatever service you are trying to provision, yeah, you need to add quite a number of properties. If you've not seen how that particular service works manually, it's going to be a lot having to configure, because now you want to write, you want to use code to do that provisioning, and then you'll be relying, because all of these properties, you don't have it. It's not like you have it in your head. You'll be using documentation to do it. Yeah. So, but with the level we are in now, I know we are not there yet. We are still learning. Yeah. Maybe things that we've not been able to walk through from end to end. But like I said, it's a journey, and the more we practice, the better we're going to be at it. No one of us said he hit a blocker and then he said he was going to start from the top again. And by the time he started from the top, where he had the blocker, he was able to scale that. And so that's that you know, like I said, if you run a project from end to end first time, it may take you longer, but by the time you do it again, you see that you can even do it without looking at your notes or whatever it is that you know you were using originally, and that's when you know that yes, you understand that particular project from end to end, and wherever it is, they wake you from the bed and until you talk about it, you can um, go through it. And then if you now have to now take that, say, okay, yes, I want to do this over and over again. Instead of me doing it manually, let me write, configuration for it so I can always spin up, terminate, at will. And that's, what we'll be learning in this module. Yeah. Yeah, and we're already on the path to outrageous success, which thus far we've been. Yeah, so I'm not going to dwell on my TED talk. You guys are going to not enjoy my TED talk today, but our agenda for well for the rest of this time that we have, hopefully we're able to, wherever it is that we get to. Today is going to be introduction, to those theoretical things, jargons that we need to get out of the way before we start writing code. That's what we're going to do for the for the rest of today, and because there are some dictions that you need to use. When we started out with cloud computing, I mentioned all of those things, that's terminologies that you need to take note of, that you'll be using. So for every module, every tool now, there are so if you are speaking to an hiring manager, or a colleague now, that you'll be working with, and then you guys are talking about cloud computing, and then they're using terminologies like auto scaling, and then you're not able to contribute anything about about auto scaling. You don't even know what service auto scaling actually fits into. It's automatically that this person is not grounded in this topic. So that's the essence of all of this theoretical parts. Before we start jumping, you can actually have practical technical knowledge and still not use those right terminology. So it's very, very important that for every tool, those terminologies that you need to play around with, especially even if you're not making very plenty sense, but just throwing those words in there, and then they know that, okay, yes, this person is talking about this particular tool. So when we talk about IAC, we need to do a quick review of the evolution of the cloud. Yeah, very, very brief. So I have maybe 5-6 slide decks now that would get us through all of this. We'll talk about what IAC is. Then we would look at different, there are quite a number of infrastructure as code tools now. And then if time permits us, we'll look, because we will be adopting Terraform as the IAC tool for this particular module. And then we'll cover all of these things. Talk about, I know we probably will not get to talk about the HashiCorp configuration language today, because we have to learn the HCL to be able to use Terraform. And I know some are even asking, why should I learn HCL? So we'll talk about the benefits of Terraform, and in there, maybe that would answer that particular question. Yeah. And you see, for most of this infrastructure as code tools, they have their kind of language. Although you see on the long run, you see that it's like so HCL, YAML, JSON, those are the languages that we would be using as part of our configuration and what have you. Not going into using some core high level programming language now. So they have their own constructs, and so they have syntax that you have to follow. But once you understand those nitty-gritty on, how to structure it. You can do literally, anything. So we will be learning that before we start provisioning infrastructure, but we'll just jump into field talk, and I'm sure most of the things I will be mentioning, you guys are already used to, have heard about it. So yeah, this should be an interactive, few minutes, and then if I mention some things that you've not come across before, you've not heard before, please feel free to interject, stop me, and then make me go over it again. Yeah. So I'm just going to. Oops, why did I stop sharing? Yeah. Where's my screen? I can't find some more. Okay, my second screen. Yeah, there you are. Right, like I said, we'll briefly talk about the evolution of the cloud. Yeah, so pre-cloud era. So tech organizations, back then, yeah, when they build applications, and I will keep saying this, I was a software engineer for, my early tech days, yeah, software engineering. Yeah, so when you need to deploy anything, after writing your code, say in the early 90s, yeah, late 90s, 2000s, yeah, when you have the idea, you've come up with the idea, you've written all of the code and what have you, you would bundle it, uh, you know, build whatever, tar, have it in a zip file, and then after you've done all of those, that's when you now, the IT guys, would now go off to start setting up, the data centers, to handling all of the, networking and all of the operational head that comes with running a data center. It was actually very, very, it was a challenging, process. It wasn't fun at all. I was privileged somewhat, to be in a team that did all of those, and it wasn't manually building infrastructure, configuring all of those things, and then all of the application itself. After you've finished setting up, all of those the infrastructure, when you now have to configure the infrastructure, operating it, the application now, so many back and forth. So the approach had so many drawbacks. It was actually very, very expensive. Because it's either you under provision, and you may think, okay, yes, because you have to do so many guesswork. Yeah. It was very unscalable, and then maintenance with the overhead of managing and maintaining your own data center is still there. I know there are tech companies now that are even considering going back to this pre-cloud, having to set up. They said they've done analysis, and then what they are spending in the cloud now is they've looked at the projection for the next few years, and yeah, say if they own their own infrastructure, they are going to save some costs. But I don't know how deep the analysis was, but on the long run, that's economy of skills. Yeah. Is it, yeah, an individual organization, well, Depending, yeah, they can't maintain it, but they'll be spending it to be so much more. And then that's the fact that that replication, yeah, is an organization can, replicate environment also, but it's going to be very, very tedious. Yeah, and then so much is being done manually, so errors and very, very error prone. Yeah, and, you have multiple individuals working at trying because you have so much going on. So they had that pre-cloud era having to manage one's own infrastructure was had so many drawbacks. Yeah, but the cloud came and then the early I think 2010s or so it became much, much easier. Yeah, so going from, conceiving the idea, whatever it is, that's an organization application now that needs to be built. Yeah, once you have it on developers, they've worked on it. It's easy to just spin up an instance now, and then push version control also made things very, very easy, and they worked collaborate. I think they literally grew together, so it became pretty much much easier, and it became a standard very, very fast because for those that have actually, been at the pre-cloud era when the cloud came in, it was like a shift. Like I said, the moment I tasted the cloud, it was like, this is it. There's no going to own servers or trying to you know host applications, on a VPS or what have you, and the fact that is an on-demand, that's on-demand pricing model made, things easier. Then you can scale up and down. It was very, very efficient, basically, and maintaining it, all of that overhead, no manual management of resources, and then you can create multiple instance, can have replica of the same configuration, in minutes. It was at it was something else. It was so it was mind-boggling. Yeah. You don't have to worry about scaling up and down. So and that was the difference, between that pre-cloud, all of that heavy lifting that needs to be done, while you are configuring, even going to purchase the servers and what have you, so much work trying to get the right, specification, the right configuration, always over provision. Yeah, but with the cloud, you can start small and then, if need be, scaling even without affecting, your application, the yeah. So all of those things are they made the cloud very, very, it was embraced, it grew actually very, very fast because of all of those things. Organizations adopted it real fast. But though we still have organizations that are still in their mind backward, still looking like, depending if there are compliance issues around personal information not being taken, out of jurisdiction. Yeah, we understand having, I know so many fintech companies, that, they've been mandated to at least own a data center, not to, so with those little, and even with that, it's always like an hybrid kind of architecture that is being run, because you don't want to do all of that heavy lifting of manually configuring a lot, especially I had to configure Kubernetes on a barebone instance once. Server. It was the headache of my life. I would never attempt that again. Yeah, but if again, it's always good to manually to have this experience, so it will help you appreciate all of the things that with the cloud and what have you as taken away off of you. So there are three main approaches to cloud resource provisioning. I know we talked about this while we were talking about cloud computing, basically. So we have the console that is, the GUI for those that like to click, and do not really appreciate a black screen now. Yeah. So we also have the CLI. This is basically API calls that is being made directly to both provision infrastructure or whatever it is that you need to do. There's always so the GUI actually is like an interface to series of APIs. So you can directly. I think we also demonstrated this in the Linux module where we put the terminal side by side, and then we created a directory, and we saw it creates right there on the desktop. So that's basically what the second option of provisioning infrastructure. You can use our APIs. All of the things that we did, you can actually, there is a command, albeit it can get really, really complex, when you have to put all of the properties that you have to do inside there. But for developers that are integrating this into their code, it's because your code base has room and all of that. Yeah, but if you're doing this from the CLI, it's not provisioning resources from the CLI. It's not always very friendly. Yeah, but the GUI actually covers all of those. And then we have the third option, which is infrastructure as code, and that's going to be our focus moving on. So we'll be writing configurations. Two is kind of some similar to, because it's IAC is still taking advantage of all of those APIs that we have available to us, to both manage our infrastructure, albeit and now we'll be using a tool to help us manage all of those API calls for both proper planning and then reusability. So again, we'll be focusing on the IAC part. We've covered the GUI part, which is very, very manual. Then now we want to move to the automated part of this. Yeah. I don't know why I have the future of cloud computing in there, but there are quite a number of developments being made, that cloud computing has made available. Obviously, AI sitting at the forefront of that, and quite a number of other technologies being that's cloud computing has made possible. So what is IAC infrastructure as code? I know I have a definition in here, and we have actually talked about it. It's basically from the name, infrastructure as code, but it's a practice actually. Yeah, it's much, and is growing day by day. We'll be exploring different tools. Well, there are different tools now that is available now, and there are best practices. And because we will be writing code, we would see that there are methods to actually achieving, efficiency. When you're writing code, you always want to be as efficient as possible. So infrastructure as code basically is the practice of managing and provisioning computing infrastructure. We have been managing computing infrastructure, but now we'll be doing this through human readable, machine readable definition files, which we call configuration. So we'll be using configuration files. When you hear configuration files, basically they are it's a file that contains all of your code. Yeah. So that's the focus. It's an approach also, a practice approach. You'll be defining your infrastructure and managing everything, through code. And then this gives transparency, gives you control over your infrastructure. You can, from the GUI, when you provision, like Eric pointed out, changing of name and a few things you would need to, you don't have real complete control now over some options, properties that you've chosen from the provisioning side. But with IAC, that you have that extra level of control over your infrastructure, and then you can have an accurate overview of whatever your environment at any given time. So IAC actually gives quite a number of benefits. We'll talk about those benefits, but on the high level now, we basically are writing configuration files to automate provisioning of infrastructure. That's like the basics of what IAC is. And I know we talked about this already. Yeah. Sorry. When we talk about CloudFormation. So this is basically you as a user or developer, whatever role that you have, you write your code, and then you can check into version control, which is it's one of the things we would also be covering in this module. Again, from the high level, then you have some form of automation, server that would take that configuration code and then use it to manage your infrastructure, whether on premise or in the cloud. From what we covered, this automation API server, what can we liken it to? It looks like I'm the only one talking. So this automation server now that is being depicted here, we talked about a service that actually is an automation kind of server. I expect a chorus response here. Be moving ahead if nobody says anything.
Is it more like the AWS or Azure?
CloudFormation. That's code that we wrote. Now we pass it into CloudFormation and then it provisions our infrastructure for us. So the different cloud providers have their own infrastructure as code tool and all of those. But again, we're not talking about the tools just yet. We are still looking at infrastructure as code from as a practice, as a way of provisioning infrastructure. Again, configuration files, very, very important. That's why I don't know why I used definition files. Should be configuration files. And then we'll be talking about desired state and then and what have you soon. Again, code reusability is one of the key features of IAC. And then you can distribute as you want to different regions. There are different types of infrastructure. I think we already mentioned this earlier. So we have we have the traditional infrastructure. Obviously, data centers, you have the physical buildings, and then you have your racks and stacks of, servers now, and then you have networking devices, being managed by, an IT squad. Yeah, so you have multiple individuals, having to crimp cables, configure the instances. That's very, very traditional. Like I said, it's pre-cloud kind of, yeah, but albeit still relevant and still being used, heavily today still. And then we have our cloud infrastructure, which basically utilizes virtual servers now, and resources provided by cloud server, cloud service provider. Then the keyword here is flexibility and then scalability. Yeah, you can provision, with a click of a button, choose whatever type of infrastructure that you want without, having to worry about all of that, physical where it is sitting in, or all you need to do is make some API calls, and then whatever size of infrastructure, whatever configuration that you want. Yeah, so the cloud infrastructure again is virtual, but it still gives you that feeling, of the traditional kind of infrastructure. And we've talked about having your own, even you can have your own network in there, and then you can extend that network, make it very, very complex as much as you want. All of the things that if you were going to do traditionally, it'll take months or even years to accomplish. So we have the cloud infrastructure there, and then we have also edge infrastructure is also coming up real fast, and this is made available or made possible by the cloud infrastructure. Is like what I say was born out from cloud infrastructure. Yeah, so basically is infrastructure that is kind of located closer to the end users now, and the goal is to reduce latency and to make whatever application that you're running on perform faster. Organizations, Fortune 500 organizations could actually decide they also want to have, edge infrastructures, scattered,
Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. Is it the same as the edge location?
Yes, edge location, edge infrastructure. That's yes, it just makes that's infrastructure now that makes your CDN now possible. Those are edge locations, edge infrastructure. And like I said, is being made possible by cloud providers. Yeah, if the cloud providers have not, if they don't have different regions now scattered abroad, the edge location wouldn't have been burned. Now, like I said, organizations can attempt it, but it's going to mean a lot. Imagine an organization that has, users in different continents now having to, and then in the continents you still have, different countries in there. So it's going to be a lot having to say an individual organization wants to actually practice having edge infrastructure. Yeah, that's why I said it's actually was born out of from cloud infrastructure. Again, the goal is to reduce latency and then to make your application perform even better. Your users can enjoy using your application. And then we have the hybrid infrastructure where you combine both your traditional premise infrastructure with cloud-based resources, again, to meet mostly some specific business needs. Yeah, so you have the organization is operating in an industry that does not allow, personal data now to be stored, outside jurisdiction. So for that kind of organization, you know that yes, they are still going to be managing some form of, traditional infrastructure while also having some of their workload or the their applications now running, in cloud services, providers, and then maybe have some database, and then there is always a connection between traditional and then the cloud infrastructure, and then they can have very, running hybrid infrastructure. Obviously, know that there are complexities to it, and then when you want secure data transfer, you don't just want your obviously the purpose of having your own data center is to keep things as safe and secure as possible. And so connecting to the cloud would mean that you're exposing your data center somewhat. And so extra steps, to secure that communication between your data center and then the cloud is as secure as possible. Good thing is most of the cloud service providers now, they offer, kind of private links and all of those VPN kind of connections now for hybrid infrastructure or the hybrid kind of architecture. Yeah. All right. So we still have kind of so there's still types of infrastructure also. When we talk about mutable and immutable, infrastructure, so you can change and configure. Mutable infrastructure. So I say is long lived. When you say something is mutable, it means it can change basically. So mutable infrastructure allows for changes, after deployment, after provisioning the instance. Now you can go into the instance and then install whatever it is that you want to install, whatever package, whatever it is that you need to put on it, you can do it. So that makes it kind of flexible. You can, update configuration and whatever it is that you want to do, you literally have, that flexibility. But again, this kinds of increases the risk of errors in that, especially when you have to now run configuration across multiple instances, mutable infrastructure. It's usually not, it would require more time. So say you have a web application that you want to deploy to the cloud and so mutable or immutable can both live. They can live on your traditional, infrastructure data center now, and then you can also live in the cloud. Yeah. So especially when you have application that you need to install configurations, especially maybe during deployment or after deployment of the application, and that's to make it production ready. You can manually or even automatically change the server whenever a new update, upgrade to configuration of the application is required. I know I mentioned it a couple of times that updating dependencies, needs to be done, very carefully. So when you have a few servers, it's very, very fine. If your infrastructure is not, very, very large, you can also, you can always, SSH into it, update, patch, whatever it is that you want to patch, install what needs to be installed, and all of those things. But when you have, many servers, definitely this would result in application mismatch. Yeah, even for two servers self, you can't really make them very identical. Yeah, talk less of having 10, 15, 20 servers. Configurations would definitely, there's going to be a leak in the configuration. So we have configuration tools that you can actually use in managing your mutable infrastructure, Ansible. We're going to learn, Ansible. Ansible is also an infrastructure as code tool, and use it to we'll talk about different types of IAC tools soon. Yeah, configuration management. So you have a cluster of instances now that you want to have multiple configurations across them. You can do that, we're using code also. So basically that is mutable infrastructure. It follows the build, deploy, configure pattern. So that's configuration parts. Yeah. So there are few benefits to it. Obviously, you can resolve issues more rapidly. So rather than having to build a new server from ground up, you have customized that instance. The in and out of that instance is kind of very personal, so you can diagnose issues much, quick. Say quicker. Yeah, more quickly. Yeah, so updates are usually quicker and can be tailored to each servers individually. And again, this is only good when you have few instances, few servers that you're managing. Yeah, and then you can tailor the infrastructure to the exact requirement of of the application. Yeah, it's much more better that way. If I start listing the challenges with mutable with mutable infrastructure, we'll probably spend the rest of this day here. You don't record the changes even when you take documentation. For some reason, many of us are very, very lazy around documenting. Yeah, but for when you start working with mutable infrastructure, because issues come up unexpectedly, and then you troubleshoot whatever it while you are troubleshooting and trying to fix it. You may have done quite a number of things, and then you don't know what exactly you did. Yeah, as long as it works, yeah, just leave it. Yeah, so all of these little things would it makes kind of debugging issues over again across multiple instances kind of tough. Yeah, because you probably did some trial and error, and then having to replicate it means you have to, if you don't know the exact thing that worked, you have to do that trial and error across multiple instances. So it's not the best, but fortunately we can employ the immutable infrastructure, to avoid issues that the mutable infrastructure can cause. So what is immutable infrastructure? So immutable infrastructure basically remains unchanged after deployment, ensuring stability, consistency, predictability. Updates require creating new instances. So I think we actually saw this when we did power formation, where I think it was Henry also, it would terminate. So when you need to update an infrastructure now, if it's an immutable infrastructure, it would not, it's not going to kind of say, so you want to increase and I want to change my instance type now, instead of having to just change the instance type, it will terminate that old instance and create a new instance. So all of the components in the immutable infrastructures are recreated, and replaced rather than updating, after they've been formed. So this makes it gives some consistency and some form of reliability to your infrastructure, because it's spinning up a new one with a new configuration and not trying to edit the old infrastructure that is already configured. Yeah. So and this again is what's the realm of IAC is built around. Yeah, because it allows for scalability. So instead of, from the use case of mutable infrastructure that I said, instead of configuring the server after deployment, we configure the instance before deployment. Yeah. So it's based on this concept. All that you want. So we'll talk about the desired state, and then this is what I want my infrastructure to look like before even deploying it. You state all of those. Yeah. And then when you deploy, after you've deployed it, yeah, that remains unchanged, except you now come back to your configuration and say, okay, yes, I want to change my infrastructure to now look like this. So it means that that original one needs to be pulled down completely. Yeah. And so there are no configuration drifts, because you're not adjusting, you're recreating kind of. And so, and it's always easier to roll back. Yeah, you can track, and then you can version your infrastructure, as it grows. So each new, instance now can be tracked properly as soon as it's deployed. You have, proper record of what the state of that instance is. Yeah. So, and then you can have uniformity across all of your setups. Yeah. You didn't, somebody, Henry did not go into the server to say, okay, yes, I want this particular package on it on this instance, and then, forgot to add to the other one. So that's, you can predictable states. You have that predictable state on your infrastructure, because you know that it does is not changing. Yeah, and then it reduces complexity in a way. Yeah, and I don't think there is anything that has advantages without disadvantages. It has to kind of balance. Yeah, so obviously there are some cons here to immutable infrastructure, so and this mostly, the con of this is always comes from the security angle. Yeah, so if you have provisioned, say, your infrastructure now that cannot be changed, and then maybe some form of vulnerabilities discovered, around the configurations that you have, all of the server with the same configuration must be updated. Yeah. And so it will take more time to tear down all of those and then recreate all of them. So and so with this, because it's kind of very, immutable infrastructure is both agile, has some form of, increased agility, and then it's kind of dynamic also. So at times, there are IT security measures, and that this agility would not sit well with. Yeah, so those are the kind of cons. Is always coming from the security angle. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I hope we understand mutable and immutable. But we have been working with mutable infrastructure from the onset of this. Now we want to move to mutable infrastructure. I'm trying to rush through all of this, but if you guys have any question, please feel free to ask. So we will be looking at the different types of infrastructure as code tools. They are being categorized sort of into different categories. Yeah. So we'll be looking at each of those categories one after the other. This is just a quick diagram of this. So yes, the different types they are broadly four. Yes, but traditionally, there is the ad hoc script. So you can actually write scripts, using your preferred programming language, say Bash now, or Python to both automate tasks, configure, a tool, and then automate it to run on a server. But yeah, I wouldn't count that as is a kind of type of infrastructure as code too, because again, you're writing, uh, script or what have you. Yeah, yeah. But we'll be focusing on this 4 types basically, and then if you're able to differentiate between all of these types, it will make your learning kind of um, structured because you know what tool, and then for each category you have multiple tools in there. So the goal is to pick a category, understand what that category is doing, and then so if you so it's just like your cloud computing also. Yeah, when you pick a cloud provider, you understand that cloud provider. If you need to switch to another cloud provider, your learning curve will not be as steep as, say, you don't even you're not grounded in any, cloud service provider. So yeah, all of these categories now, just quickly run through them. So configuration management basically helps to automate software and system configuration. Like I mentioned earlier, so you have you have large amounts of software that should be installed. When you have computers, servers now clustering, and if you want to keep the software as homogeneous as feasible, the configuration management, even from the name, yeah. So that you can have like so that performance is kind of consistent, so that each of those servers now are able to have that consistency across them. So configuration management tools make it easier to manage the software side of clusters of servers now, and then examples of these tools are Ansible, Chef, Puppet, and Salt Stack. Yeah. So we have them: Chef, Puppet, Ansible, Salt Stack. I've been privileged to work with Puppet and Ansible. Chef, not so much. It's been around too for a while, though, but not actually used there. But you guys will be learning Ansible in the DevOps module because again, there are some of these tools now that can fit into multiple categories. Yeah, so you can actually use Ansible to both as a provisioning tool also, albeit it should not be the first option. Yeah, so you want to know the right tool that is best suited for whatever it is that you're doing. So that's the essence of understanding different categories of IAC tools. That's and their groupings also. Yeah. So next we'll be talking about server templating tools. So basically creating server templates for provisioning. Yeah. So is kind of an alternative to configuration management. Is yeah, it's gained traction for a while. So the goal behind server templating tool is it helps kind of build an image, a blueprint, if you have that, of a server that is kind of is fully self-contained, kind of a snapshot of both the operating system, the software, the files, and all other essential characteristics now of your server. Yeah, so you have all of those bundled, and then And from I know we mentioned this also when you think about your AMI, your image now. Yeah. So how do we generate those images now? Yes, those AMI. So that is where server templating tools actually come in. Yeah. So we have tools like Packer, Vagrant, and Docker is fast, evolving, yes, even taking over now. Yeah. Yeah. But AWS, we know we created images, from our application that we provision. So, but there are tools working behind the curtain that has been abstracted. If you need to do that, from your local machine with code, so you have all of these tools. Packer and Vagrant, they're being maintained by the same organization, Ashikop. But Docker again is gaining much popularity because of because it's lightweight, and then can have a full self-contained kind of environment inside of just one image, and then use that to spin up multiple instances of that. So we have provisioning tools, which is like where are currently. Yeah. So um, so the code that runs on each server is, again, probably defined by some configuration management tool, and then provisioning tools basically is helps to deploy immutable infrastructure. So we talked about immutable infrastructure, before this step. So resources like our servers, our databases, and all of the networking components, VPCs, and all of those. Yeah. So we use our provisioning tools to kind of create, or yes, provision. So that's where it comes in. Provision is actually the um, technical term, but it's, to creating all of those servers, databases, load balancers, all of your certificates now, all the aspects of your infrastructure that you need to create, you use your provisioning tools to do it. And then, sitting at the forefront of this is Terraform. I will talk about why Terraform is sitting at the forefront of this soon. We have AWS CloudFormation, which we also have taken a look at, and then every other cloud provider, they have their kind of own kind of provisioning tool to manage and create resources inside of their ecosystem in there. And then the final one, the orchestration tool, is also kind of growing so fast now. Used to manage and coordinate deployment and scaling of containerized applications. Yeah, and Kubernetes is like at the forefront of those. Yeah. So if not just even containerized application now, virtual machines, if you have um, series of virtual machines and then containers, once they've been created, and then you need to roll out updates, monitor the health of your VMs, and then maybe distribute traffic between those containers and those VMs, even maintaining communication across 5, am I saying 5, 10, 15, 20 containers, yeah. Manually setting up those, channels and links can become very, very daunting. So that is where orchestration tools, are designed to deal with, all of these issues. It simultaneously automates many operations, again, just to reduce complexities, difficulties around your production workload, and then makes time to market easy. If there are new changes, you need to roll out new features. Having that tool that makes managing all of those infrastructure, uh, becomes have a tool that will help you to abstract away so many manual things that you would need to do. So Kubernetes is a kind of the standard for orchestrating and managing your containers now. Docker Swarm, I think actually was it's still being used, but it's been phased out because everybody's just focusing on Kubernetes, and each cloud provider also they have their own proprietary kind of orchestration tools also. For AWS, I think it's container service, and Azure also have has its own container service. Yeah. Apache Mesos, I've not been privileged to try my hands on it. Yeah, so we have all of this kind of tools. Like I said, you will be learning Ansible, you'll be learning Kubernetes, you'll be learning. So from each of these tools, you will be learning, one out of each, out of these each, as moving forward. Yeah. Most of them, you can't talk about DevOps without talking about these different categories, because for each step of the stage of the DevOps lifecycle, you'll be using, a combination of all of these tools, together. Yeah, but for this module, we are learning again Terraform. Yeah, and it's a provisioning tool, just to complement all that we have been, doing manually for the past months now. Yeah. Are you guys still with me? Are there any questions?
Sorry, I wanted to find out this monitoring tool is not mentioned here, but it's just IACs.
What did you say?
I said monitoring tools is not mentioned here. Just only
Monitoring
IACs.
tools.
Monitoring.
Oh, so monitoring tools that they are not infrastructure as code tools. So we are talking about infrastructure as code tools that you write code to manage both infrastructure, monitoring. There are tools for monitoring, but that's another thing entirely. But you will be learning, monitoring is part of the things you'll be learning also. Again, there are tools. Even if you want to talk about even testing now, testing of the application and all of those, there are tools that you would also need to be familiar with to do that. And static code analysis, and
like JMeter. One is JMeter.
Yes, you have JUnit, JFrog, SonarQube, quite a number of tools. Tools are endless. So learning and relearning, they're part of the things that you'll be doing on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. So the rest of you guys, I hope you have with me thus far, because I would so we're not going to jump into what Terraform is today. We would just pause here. If there are any questions, I know it's all talk, but there are things that we should have at the back of our mind, should be able to, differentiate between the different type of infrastructures that we have. We'll still see all of these things, yeah, especially for provisioning to talking about Terraform. But Lumi, I didn't add that here, is also gaining much relevance in the provisioning tools part. Yeah, but
So, sir, I want to ask a question. At what point do you can work on our CVs and maybe start applying for jobs?
I think that would be
at the end of this IAC.
So yes, so from experience, like I know I've had a few trainees, even from the end of AWS, they've already started applying for cloud roles now. Yeah. So it all boils down to the individual, applying for jobs it requires some form of let's say courage on the individual parts. If you are assured, or you are sure of whatever it is that you think yeah. And if the job descriptions kind of fits what you want to do, and then you see that maybe 50% of what you have in there, you can actually, or what they have in there, you are confident to say it. Yeah, why not? Yeah, but by the end of IAC, again, for cloud roles, you should be well grounded to start, applying. Well, you will put in the work, because everything we do in class is maybe it's not sufficient for you have all of those things, but you still need to take that extra step, making sure you understand all of those concepts and you can talk about it, and how the pieces fit together. One of the things I know for cloud roles is have you deployed an infrastructure from end to end? Have you taken an application to production, or have you worked as part of a team that's deployed an application to what cloud provider? What are the tools that you used? You mentioned a tool. How did that tool fit into the whole deployment strategy and all of those things? If you're able to defend those questions, yeah, even before you get to the DevOps module, you are already in.
Thanks.
Henry has slept. All right, guys.
Slept, okay. I've not slept too.
I'm
here. I'm just listening. So actually, the only question I had was, I see Ansible as one of the configuration management tools, but can it also be used for provisioning?
Yes, it can. I mentioned it. So
okay, because it's not part of the. I don't see it mentioned in the provisioning tools.
Yes, so it's best suited for configuration management. You can use, if you're going to use it for provisioning tools, you'll see that you would require to use some extra tools kind of with it. Yeah, by itself is best suited for configuration management.
Okay. No, I'm not sleeping. Sometimes when I'm listening to it, when I'm in class, I always do because I actually have a project that I'm working on right now, so I always do
And I was trying to look for trouble.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just that money now that I have to pay now that I have to go take it. You guys have to donate money.
Go and send money
to me. I've told yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for time. Be seeing y'all. Be meeting next week.
Saturday.
Yeah. We'll be moving much quicker. Because we have just 3 weeks, and then there's so much we need to cover. In this also. So
3 weeks for what?
That's
training over.
Oh no, for IAC to learn as much as we learn. No.
That's 3 weekends, have you? From now.
Yeah,
I didn't get
6.
Yeah, that's 6 sessions. Yeah.
Okay. 6 sessions from now.
Yeah, we would cover it. Yeah, you guys you're fast paced. You're moving with the speed of light, so yeah, you can do all things.
You don't want to move with the speed of light, though.
Has anybody heard from Jumi? Because we haven't.
So I think
he sent the message. We had a conversation over the week. Myself and I. He said that she might be joining the next.
She wants. I think she wants to take time to understand. Mojo
So-
before she starts, before we start loading IAC.
Yeah. So she said that we shouldn't remove her from our group WhatsApp platform. That she likes the way we are communicating there. So that's a P from her anyway. She was going to join on that set.
Yes. All righty. Have a great week, y'all.
All right. Everybody have a great week.